Thank you, Prof. I want to thank all of the presenters and panelists for their very insightful contributions to the seminar. And again, sincere thanks to the African Center for Technology Studies for their commitment to the legacy of Professor Calestous Juma. I'd actually like to ask the audience each to post in the chat something that you learned today or a new idea that you're taking away from this seminar, taking back to your work and to your daily life. So do that while I begin to share my screen. I personally am taking away from this seminar the importance of being very intentional about which STI pathways are privileged. So to take an equity lens and apply it to STI for development to ensure both effectiveness and also to ensure that the most marginalized have access and input into STI development initiatives. So just very briefly, I want to share just a little bit about the focus of our foundation. A lot has been said already today, so I don't want to take up too much time, but I encourage you to visit our website to learn more about our values and our approach. Again, we are in the startup phase, so very early on. But in the months following Calestous Juma's death, his family, friends, and colleagues and students sought the best way to realize his vision to address many of the challenges we've heard about here today. And so we have determined that starting small with an activity with a proven track record would be the best chance for creating an initial success upon which we can build his legacy over time. So with that in mind, we have narrowed our focus based on Professor Juma's life and work, and we are conducting an ongoing participatory approach to program development. The first program area I want to share is our most practical and grassroots and the most geographically targeted. Through partnerships with local organizations and institutions, we plan to direct and mobilize resources to build local institutional and individual capacity for integrated sustainable development in the Bunyala region. We have conducted a needs assessment in Port Victoria. We have engaged a team of local advisors, and we are exploring partnerships with local institutions. The goal is to hear from local stakeholders, to identify needs, challenges, and opportunities, and to mobilize resources. In fact, I just want to shout out to our Bunyala Program Advisory Committee, many of whom are participating today. Thank you for being our on-the-ground expert advisors. The second program focus I want to share is one that you're participating in right now. That is our convening and elevating. One thing that Professor Juma was well known for was his networking skills and his generosity of sharing his global platform. We are using our platform and our brand to highlight, elevate, and endorse the good work that the CJLF partners and others are doing in the area of STI for development, just as we have done here today, thanks to the partnership of our colleagues at ACT. The third program focus area I want to share is our plan to partner with other organizations to advance leadership in STI for development. And specifically, we plan to take a bottom to top approach to enhancing leadership skills by engaging leaders at the community level first, municipal level first, so that we can utilize evidence from local development projects to inform and direct local policy, build policy and advocacy literacy. Again, we are in the very early stages, but this was a thread going throughout CJ's career, going back to this photo at ACTS in '95 and continuing through his Harvard career where he championed executive education courses for African leaders. We feel this is a key element to be successful in sustainable development. As many of you have commented here today, we must build the capacity of the local community leaders, municipal leaders to understand the significance of STI for development. And finally, our fourth program focus area, very straightforward, is to ensure that Calestous Juma's original thought work remains an integral part of the dialogue on STI for development. His legacy is preserved and his vision realized. So we hope to have an upcoming, forthcoming autobiographical memoir as well as memorial events. So please follow our progress on our website and social media channels. I'll post them again in the chat, and we look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you. My sincere thanks to all of the presenters, panelists, and participants, and to the team at ACTS. Finally, over to you, Dr. Kingiri, for closing comments, or back to you, Prof. Ogata, for the shout to pass over to Paul.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everybody. I think because of time, I'll just have a few remarks on behalf of African Center for Technology Studies. We are very much appreciative to all the panelists, the presenters, the facilitators, and all the participants for making this particular seminar series quite a success. I want to say that for me, I can see this is a transition from the first seminar series which we had recently, where we spoke, but this particular one, we are actually talking about action. So basically, we are starting to implement what we thought we could do during the first seminar series when we launched the CJ Foundation seminar series. We have listened to quite a number of conversations today. The first presentation by Tommaso about the string project, it's actually, kind of raised more questions for us, as a community pursuing CJ's foundation dream, because he calls for competence building amongst many relevant stakeholders. And he raised quite key questions that have to do with the kind of capacity that we need to take knowledge and innovation forward, the way Calestous Juma would have wanted to do this. He actually spoke about something which is very pertinent to all of us, whether researchers or non-researchers, around the common understanding about this particular topic, the STI, which is basically complex in nature, as well as the SDG arena. So combining the two, it makes even the context to be even more complex, and therefore the need for us to rethink how we undertake capacity building. But he also emphasized something which I think is good for us to take home, that has to do with the pursuing interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, multidimensional approach to what we do, which I think is very, very key to the next steps that we are going to be taking. We have listened to the voices of the farmers. We've had Fred, we've had, I think it was Fred and Dave, and we had them talk about what is happening on the ground. So it means there's so much happening there, and we are not actually going to be starting from scratch. They're demonstrating that the role of technology is key in tackling social, environmental, and economic challenges for the local communities. They are also telling us that we need to think about technology. In fact, it was the first time I heard about the fourth industrial revolution and how it is being applied in the aquaculture, subsector. The role of the bioproducts, as innovation, renewable energy. He spoke about solar and other technologies, renewable technologies. He talk about digital innovation. So there is need for us to think. There's so much for us to think about in terms of the next steps. And when you listen to Professor Ress, now the researcher perspective, he spoke again about capacity building and the role of knowledge. But what do we do with the knowledge that we are generating from the communities? So we need to make sure that we communicate it. And again, he emphasized the need for us to think about the approach to capacity building, approach to research that is interdisciplinary, that is transdisciplinary, that try to strengthen the role of social science in informing the technology. So I think there's so much that we can actually learn from this. But again, picking from Paul Orina, the policy perspective, we are hearing that the industry also is very critical. The entrepreneurs are also very critical. Industries need to be given a space here, the role of innovation, but he also emphasizes the need for a multidisciplinary approach to all that we do involving the counties, the policy actors. I think there's a lot that we can learn from today. But then coming to what ACTS is doing as an organization, I think we all know what ACTS is doing. I think we are in a position to provide stewardship in brokering the kind of knowledge that we need to enhance the kind of thing that we are talking about today. As a broker, I think there's so much that we can do as a Pan-African organization in seeing the things that we want to see happen moving forward. And I think there's an entry point to that, because we are coming up with a strategic plan from 2023 onwards that is going to be looking at 5 programs. And one of the programs is agriculture, food security, and nutrition, which we are expanding to actually bring in the inclusivity aspects that we have had being discussed today. We do have the climate change program, which is going to continue, but there's so much that we have had today that we need to take on board, and that can actually happen under that program. But also the science, technology, innovation, knowledge, and society program that looks at the cross-cutting aspect of STI and how they can be embedded in different sectoral areas. And today we are talking about aquaculture, but of course there are diversities within aquaculture. So we want to look at STI issues within the broader agricultural and food system. The digital economy program, I think we have had that we need to think about digital innovation in promoting, in this particular case, aquaculture ecosystem. And there's a lot that we are doing under that program, including capacity building in the area of 4th industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So there's a lot that we can actually tap into, what is happening under that program. And of course, the gender and youth and inclusive development program that is going now to be looking at the inclusivity issues that we have been discussing today. So there's a lot that we can look into as an organization to try to broker the interest of the different stakeholders. But we cannot do that unless we are partner, because what we do it in partnerships. And therefore, we are looking into like-minded stakeholders who would want to partner with us to be able to explore what we can take forward from here, because we have just started. And I think there's so much that we can do together. So I want to hand back over to Prof, just to re-emphasize that we've just started the journey. And because this is a process, then we need to continue together. So I invite all the participants to engage with us beyond today, so that we can see what we can do together. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, CJ Foundation, for partnering with us, and all the participants who are here today, particularly the team which is in Lake Victoria region. Back to you, Prof, for the final.
Thank you very much. I will not re-emphasize, because you have done a good job. And for those who are participating in this series for the first time, allow me just to mention that Kingiri is ACTS Director for Research and Innovation, and that's why she was talking with a lot of authority around that subject. And now I would quickly move to Busia and ask Paul to present the person who is going to give the final remarks before I close. And a very, very brief one, just 1 or 2 minutes.
I want also to thank the entire team of the diaspora for joining us. Before I introduce the person who is going to speak, allow me also to just acknowledge a person who is amidst us, the sister to the late Calestous, Juma. She's also in attendance. Just to say hi to the group. Just wait. Hi to everybody. Thank you very much, Host Leader. At this point, allow me to ask one participant to give the marks, and that is John.
Thank you, Paul. My name is John Bosco. I'm from Bunyala, which is essentially a fishing the fisher community, but I don't do fish farming. You know, Prof, you asked John Mugabe that question, why some areas of Kenya have adopted pond farming more readily than the people from the fisher communities. Maybe I'm a classic example of that. But I participated in the Ugunja focus group discussion. And in the initial stages, the whole thing looked very abstract to me. But after we finished and now come back and seeing the findings of that work, it has excited my thinking. I do a bit of poultry farming. And even if I can't apply this to fishing because I do not do fish farming, but I'm thinking that the same idea can be transferred to what I do as a poultry farmer, bringing in SDGs. And this is very exciting because we want to develop our agriculture, but we cannot develop without innovations that are driven by our local experiences. So to me, this has been an eye-opener, and I'm very grateful for having been invited to participate in this. And I think many of my colleagues also are happy that they are going away having learned something, and they are having contributed to that learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, on behalf of all the participants who are here. I want to say thank you to our team in the diaspora, thank you to the arts team, and thank you to the Calestous Juma Foundation. I hand it over to Prof.
Great. Thanks very much. Okay, thanks very much. I think we are now coming to the end of today's session.
Hello, Prof. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm there. Paul, did you want to say something? Hello. Okay, I wanted to request everybody to put on their camera so that we can take the final photo. Those who are there, just put on your camera and somebody will take the photo.
We are done this side. Over to you.
Okay. Angela, you'll take a photo. I know the team from ACT, Moses, Fiona, you also take the photo. And of course, we are inviting you to tomorrow's session. And you remember I mentioned earlier that tomorrow we'll start with a brief presentation from Professor Norman Clark on CJ memoir. And this is something that nobody can afford to miss. So please, you are all invited tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Otherwise, cheers and bye-bye, and God bless you, and have a lovely evening and a lovely afternoon wherever you are. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.